Hi, Greg Lewis, MetaStock Software. Hey, you're about to watch one of the great presentations from our recent online trader summit. I know you're going to enjoy it. If you do not yet have MetaStock, make sure you visit metastock.com/traders-summit 3-for-1 for a great 3-for-1 offer for MetaStock plus market data. Also, make sure to listen to Jeff Gibby at the end of today's presentation. He has a really great offer. It's very exciting, and I know you're going to want to hear it. Finally, make sure to leave us some feedback. We always want to hear your feedback, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and successful trading.
One last shout out to our sponsor, Stocks and Commodities. I'm going to put this link back in the chat real quick here. If I can find it real quickly here. There we go. Take advantage of this. So this is the free subscription to Stocks and Commodities magazine. So go ahead and take advantage of that. There are a few questions that came in. Bill asked the question: Can I use a CNQ data feed with MetaStock? The answer to that is probably. With MetaStock, we'll accept 3 different data formats. There's 2 MetaStock formats. There's our new MetaStock local format and a MetaStock legacy, which is it's an industry standard. Almost everybody outputs data to MetaStock. So, and then the other that we support is a CSV file. So as long as it's one of those 3 formats, you can use it with MetaStock. Now, of course, this actual package that we're talking about here actually includes MetaStock. So you'll be able to practice that, see if it works, and you'll also be able to try out the real-time Reuters feed that we power MetaStock with. So in any case. And here is the link. I meant to hit enter on that to send it to the chat. But that's the link to get the free 1-month subscription to Stocks and Commodities magazine. Trey asks, can the end-of-day version of MetaStock do stock option analysis? Trevor, yes, you can. Generally, I'll say that this way. You can go in and see what option pricing is, and approximately 70% or so of our database actually trades options. It's a very, very big percentage. But most of the work you'll do inside of MetaStock itself is finding the right optionable security. So with the scanner, you'll be able to kind of go in and find stocks that are about to break out. And often, in the case of some of the scans that are built in, some of them are looking for stocks that have low volatility that are kind of moving sideways. So it kind of depends on the strategy that you want. But mostly what MetaStock's going to help you is in finding the underlying instrument. Okay. In real time, if you have the MetaStock real time, you're going to have MetaStock Zenith, and that's the Thomson Reuters data feed. And there's some really cool options calculators that are available in that. Mark Sebastian was showing one of them called the volatility surface graph that is available in Icon. So there's some advanced tools that are available only in real time and only in Zenith, but you'll be able to do a lot of options analytics in the end of day version. Okay. Anthony says trading gold, silver, copper mining stocks are more profitable than the gold mining ETF. Okay, I'll take your word for it. All right. So let's go ahead and kind of get to the last demo, and we'll talk a little bit. This is me. I will be quite straightforward. This is a picture of me probably about 7 or 8 years ago. I need to update my picture, but the difference is I'm getting a lot grayer right here, and I've lost a lot more of this stuff on the top. So other than that, it kind of looks like me. I'll tell you a little bit about me just so you can kind of know my history. I started working here today. Oh my gosh, it's my anniversary today. Today is the 21st year. I just completed 21 years today. I didn't even realize it was till today until I looked at the calendar. But I started in March 31st, 21 years ago today. So it's been a great place to work. I've absolutely loved it. We have a very family atmosphere. When I started in inside sales, so I would talk to a lot of people. We'd run ads on CNBC and people would call in and we'd talk to them a little bit about what they were looking to improve with their trading. And I did that for almost a decade. And I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. After that, since then, I've been doing different stuff in our business development team. And so a lot of the people we featured today are people I've called up and kind of worked with, and that's a lot of fun too. Right now, my official title is like manager of business development, and it is a really cool job. On Thursday, I was working with Tony Turner to kind of get some of her scans ready for this class that she's writing. In May, I'll be doing a trip over to Europe to do a bunch of classes with the Swedish Market Technicians Association. It is a fantastic job, and I very, very much enjoy it. So that's probably a little bit too much history for me, but that's kind of where I started and how I got here. MetaStock itself is a company. We've been doing software since 1982. It's the MetaStock software and the MetaStock brand has been rated #1 in Stocks and Commodities magazine every single year since 1994. Or it might be even 1993. It's one of those 2 years. Lost track. But it's over 24 years in a row that it's been rated #1. When I started, we were owned by Reuters, and about 5 years ago, we actually purchased ourselves back from Reuters. And we still have a really good relationship with Reuters. We're very lucky. One of our biggest areas of growth as a company is actually selling Reuters data and news. We have a fantastic product that Reuters spent about $1 billion on. I talked a little bit about it earlier, that you could only get from us, or you can also get it from their institutional trading at a much higher cost. So it's a very, very good news product. And I'll probably do a supplemental class on it. It's very, very cool, the kind of stuff that you can get in there. So today what I want to do is, we've been talking about all day long, and I kind of want to do a bit of a class to talk about the first trading methodology I ever used, which is the Rahul Mohinder Oscillator. And so we just did a bunch of classes with Rahul just a couple weeks ago, and I'll tell you a little bit about what he is and who he is and that kind of stuff. But I would say that in general, the Rahul Mohinder Oscillator is a trend following system. So, and I'm sure you've heard like the trend is your friend, or befriend the trend, or a rising tide lifts all boats, or those types of market cliches. This is a trend following system. So there's a few reasons I like to show it. It has a pretty good tendency to kind of give you an objective way to look at the trend and to kind of measure the trend. And it does that in a couple of different ways. So, and Rahul is a great guy. Rahul has been working with us. He's been a partner of MetaStock, a dealer of MetaStock in India for longer than I've been an employee of MetaStock. We'll say it that way. I think he's told me 23 years or 24 years, and that might have been a year or two ago too. So, but he's a great guy. He owns about 4 or 5 offices in India. And what he does is he actually teaches people in India how to trade. So he's a panelist on CNBC and CNN India, and he does a lot of work around that, but he shows people how to trade. And so that's what he does. That's what he does for kind of a bit of a living. And the story about RMO, at least how it came to our attention, is he was visiting us, and this would have been probably about 12 years ago now, but he was visiting our offices here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we asked him to show us a little bit of what he taught his students. And long story short, we loved it. We decided to actually purchase rights to it, and we've included it in MetaStock ever since like version 10. So it's something that we just provide as part of the package. And there's a couple of reasons that I like to show it, especially at the end of a long business day. But these are really kind of what it boils down to. Number one, it's easy to use. You'll be able to understand, as long as I explain the rules to you and do my job, you'll be able to understand how it works. It's 100% objective as well. So it's all going to be based on rules. It does use solid money management, works on a lot of different time frames, and it works on many different instruments. In fact, I'm not going to pull any instruments that I've preloaded into here. I'm going to have you give me a few instruments that we can look at, and we'll look at your stocks. So Bill asks a question. Carol says, do you trade? Oh, Al asks, what is the link for the Summit 3-for-1? You must have saw that slide. The Summit 3-for-1, so if you do not want to do the bundle package, if you want to do a 3-for-1 offer on MetaStock, you could go to MetaStock, and what we'll do is .com/tradersummit 3-for-1. You can also call the sales guys, but you can actually pay for a month of MetaStock, and we'll give you 3 months of MetaStock. So if you're not to the point where you want to do the bundle pack, but you want to see what MetaStock is all about, well, number one, thank you. Number two, we do have an extended trial where you can actually, for $20 a month, basically try MetaStock for 3 months. So that's what that is. Okay. Carol says, do you trade yourself? I like to trade Dow options and ETFs. So yes. Bill asked a question that says, what brokers can we connect to for Canadian residents? And the answer to that is very simple. We don't do brokerage. You can use whoever you want to. So a lot of us use a various degree of services here. Personally, I use Thinkorswim. We have a guy over here that uses Robinhood. Kelly uses something else. I can't think of the name right now. So, but you can use any brokerage you want, and you don't have to pay. You don't have to fund an account with us. So basically, it's just a product that's going to help you make trading decisions. So thanks for that question. And if you have questions as we go, let me know. So we're going to go ahead and talk about RMO. There's basically 3 steps that I'm going to teach you. I need you guys to give me some stocks that you want to look at today. I've prepared with a stock GE. You might have heard of it. But give me some stocks. We'll use the stocks that you want to look at today. If you want to put some in, otherwise I'll show you on GE. Okay, it took a minute. I was like, okay, that's plenty. I thought nobody was going to give me some stocks. I'm like, there's still 100 people that logged back in. We did lose a bunch with the room shut down, but I was like, some of you guys are going to have to give us some stocks. Okay, so let's just go from the top of this list. Anthony wants to look at, we're going to deal mostly with the charting aspect of MetaStock right now. So they're scanning and system testing and forecasting. But for the most part, to keep things kind of light today, we're just going to be looking at charts. So let's go ahead and do X, which is, I'm going to type in a few symbols here. NVIDIA, which I think is like the symbol for that is, I'm just going to search for it. I think it's NVDA if I remember right. There's a little bit of a search tool here, so if you don't know a symbol, you can look it up. You do have to spell it better than that, though. Okay, I'm gonna, I don't know what NVD is. Baidu. Okay, we'll go ahead and add that in here. Okay, and I'm just putting a space between these. So if you're new to MetaStock, we'll do SQ. We'll do WIN, which is I think WYNN, and I'm gonna check that. Okay, and .o. One of the things with Reuters is with these 4-character symbols, you put a .o after it. That just tells you you want the large overall market. There's about 300 exchanges in here. And so this is how we're telling it we want the whole American market. And we'll do one more, CPTA. Okay. All right. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the RMO, an RMO template. So this is just a template. What it does is when I apply a template, it's going to determine exactly what charts that we're looking at. And I'm just scrolling down until we find the RMO trade model right here. I'm going to go ahead and open that with a chart. And we'll go ahead and take a look at some of these stocks, and we'll kind of take a look a little bit about what's going on. And let's start with Square Incorporated. This looks pretty interesting. And let's talk a little bit about how we're reading this and how you kind of take trading decisions based on it. Let me just kind of scroll out a little bit here. Oh yeah, this looks good. This looks very solid. Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you want to do with this. Remember, it's a trend following system. Remember, there's 3 steps, and remember, it's fairly simple. But if we want to trade with the trend, what we want to be able to do is identify what the trend is doing. And with the Rahul Mohinder oscillator, what he's going to do is he's got 3 different ways he looks at the trend. And those are, and I'll use these terms interchangeably, long-term or primary are the same term. Long-term trend, short-term trend, okay, and then a medium-term trend, okay? So if I say primary trend, I mean the long-term trend. And usually I'll say short-term trend or medium-term trend as we kind of get to those parts of it. But the first thing that we want to be able to do is we want to be able to identify what the stock is doing from a long-term basis. And I say stock, I might as well say instrument, because we can look at, with MetaStock, you can use this with stocks or forex. I mean, literally, if I was to show you the list in here, the coverage for Reuters is insane. Like the amount of issues that they actually cover is like something like, well, I'll just find it up here. I had to scroll up. I mean, I've drilled into an exchange here. So for they cover about 381,847 global instruments. They say it's more than 95% of the entire global market cap. So just about anything, whether it's like Australia or if it's a future, currencies are covered, anything that you're kind of interested in, you're going to be able to find it in here. Right now we're looking at Square Incorporated, and what we want to do is we want to be able to identify the primary or the long-term trend first. So that's step number 1. What we're going to do is we're going to look at this and say, is it trending up or is it trending down? Okay, and to do that, we're going to basically look at this top indicator pane called the Rahul Mohinder oscillator. Okay, I'm going to scroll back a little bit so you can see that it does go below 0 once in a while. But the way we read this, you'll notice it kind of oscillates. It's going to either be above 0 or below 0. Okay, and with Rahul, he's really specific. If it's above 0, this is measuring the long-term trend, then your long-term trend is bullish. Okay, if it's below 0, then it basically is very specific. Your long-term trend is bearish. Okay, that's all it means. It's either bullish or bearish. Okay, so if a stock on a long-term basis and you're following Rahul's rules, if it's bullish, which has been bullish, looks like since, what date is this exactly? Since November 2nd of 2016, NVIDIA has been bullish long-term. Okay, and what that means from a trading perspective, if you're following Rahul's rules, it means that you won't take short positions. As long as this is bullish, you're allowed to take long positions, but you're not allowed to take short positions. Okay, I need to scroll down just in case you guys are asking questions. I was up at the top of the things. Trevor says, I had fun with Tesla this week, crash and burn stock. Well, I'm glad you had fun with it. Okay, so long term, what we're kind of looking at this right now is bullish. It's in a bullish phase. It's had some pullbacks, which have pushed it to almost bearish, but basically following our rules, ever since November, we would have only been looking to take a long position on it. Okay, November of not this year, but 2006. Now we are looking at a daily chart. You can use this on any time frame as well. Okay, you can also see that the RMO is bullish because you look at it and it's above 0. You can also look at the trend ribbon down here and see that it's bullish because it says RMO is bullish. It's very, very specific about the RMO being bullish, and you'll notice that when it's bearish, it actually is very, very specific about it being bearish as well. Okay, so already we've been bullish on Square Incorporated since November 2nd when it was trading around 11 bucks. Right now it's trading at about $49.20, and during that upward move of 400 and something percent, we've only been looking to take long positions. So already I would say we're putting the odds in our favor of having more successful trades because we're not looking to go short when this thing is just going up, and it's going up pretty incredibly, right? So step one is complete. We look at the long-term trend on this chart, and until this kind of starts to get even weaker, we're only going to look at long positions. We want to trade in the direction of that primary trend. Okay. Step two is we want to look at the short-term trend. Okay. And to do that, I'm going to actually go in here, and I'm going to make a small change to this chart. I prefer to look at it in a slightly different way. Okay. And what I'm going to do is anytime you want to change anything in MetaStock, just double click on it. I want to make the blue histogram a blue line. It makes it easier for me to see. Okay, and so I just double clicked on it, I changed it to a histogram, and now you see it as a histogram. Okay, but the line that we actually want to look at is this short-term, this pink line. Okay, and it's Rahul calls it swing trade number 2. For I don't know why he calls it swing trade number 2, but the important thing to know about this particular indicator is that it's looking at the short-term trend. Okay, so and when you read it the same way, right? If it's above 0, then short-term you're bullish. Okay, if it's below 0, then short-term you're bearish. So right now, if we're trying to make an assessment of what we want to do with NVIDIA, long-term we're bullish and short-term we're bullish. So we're certainly not going to take a short position, right? We're bullish on this unless it kind of starts to trend down. We're going to follow that bullish trend. Okay. The important thing here, though, is a couple things. Number one, we're just looking at permission so far. So we're not going to buy something just because it goes from long-term bullish to short-term bearish. We're not going to short it. If it goes from short-term bullish to the RMO goes from bullish to bearish, we're not going to buy it. There's a whole nother step in this. What we're looking at is we're looking at, let's say, the weather patterns and seeing where the high pressures are and where the low pressures are, and trying to get in a place that's going to kind of get us in the same direction as the market or the freeway is going. Does this make sense for everybody? Now, Trevor says, yeah, Trevor, did you used to go by Trey? Because yeah, I swear you used to go by Trey. But Trey says he goes by this little smiley face in the lower left-hand corner, which you can do as well. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm gonna still call you Trey then. His answer was, yeah, I just screwed up when I did the registration. Okay. All right. Good enough. I thought that was you. Okay. All right. So step number 1. Let's just go back into the PowerPoint because I have this in the PowerPoint, and I have a tendency I want to just make sure I'm thorough. Okay. Step 1, we identify the trend. If it's in a bullish zone, we're allowed to buy. We're not allowed to short, and it's not a trigger to enter. I think I said all 3 of those things. Okay. Step 2, we're going to identify the short-term trend. Okay. We want them to match. So if we're bullish short-term and we're bullish long-term, we're allowed to buy. Okay. We're still not doing any triggers. We're going to do that next. Okay. If they're both bearish, you're allowed to short. You just reverse the rules for that. It's very, very simple. Okay. And one of the other things that I want to point out in MetaStock, let me just swap back over here, is you can tell that the primary trend is bullish because of the ribbon. I said that. You can also take a look at the color of the bars that are being painted to determine the short-term trend. So what do I mean by that? If the short-term trend is above 0, then you're going to have blue bars, almost said something else there, blue bars that illustrate that you're allowed to buy, that the short-term trend is above 0. Okay. If the bars are painted red, it just indicates that the short-term, there's some weakness in the trend and you're not allowed to buy. You might be looking to go short, certainly not in this case because they don't match. That's all you're looking at. Okay. So what we're doing here now is we're bullish long-term and we're bullish short-term, and we're going to wait until we get an entry signal. Okay. But we're not going to have one today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how they show up on the chart and what you look for and how you kind of position those trades. And to do that, I actually have to go backwards in time. Okay. I want to talk a little bit more about these particular 2 sets of indicators real quick here, because there's a little bit of a blue line on here. Okay, and you might have guessed it already, but the blue line is the medium-term trend. Okay, and here's the trick with this thing. We don't really care if this is above or below zero at all. It doesn't matter. What we're looking for is we're looking for the stock to get more bullish, or bullish enough to have an upward move enough to get our short-term trend to cross up above our medium-term trend. Okay, this point right here where this cross happens to the upside, what this is doing is the market starting to move up. It's moved up enough to kind of signal that the trend is getting more bullish. Okay, and when that happens, that's actually your trigger to start to structure out a trade. The cross up right here is called a bullish, Rahul calls it a bullish shift in momentum or change of direction or change of force. Whatever you want to call it, it's your opportunity to look at the market and say, this is where I'm going to enter. Okay. Likewise, when it shifts down, when it starts to get bearish, what's going to happen is you're going to have that change of momentum to the downside. You're going to have that momentum divergence shift back down. And that happens. That happens in all kinds of trends. It happens all the time. You're going to see it painted on the chart. Whenever that momentum shift happens, you get a buy signal on the chart. When the bearish momentum shift, you get a sell signal. All it's telling you is that cross happened. Okay. So we're going to go back in time. I'm going to show you exactly how, to the best of my ability, how Rahul trades this thing. Did I swear? It's a family show. One more strike and you're out. Did I cuss? I don't remember cussing, but I apologize if I did. So let's go a little bit back in time. What I'm going to look for is from where it goes from bearish right here to that first time in November of 2016 where it went bullish. Hopefully I didn't curse too much. So right here what we've got, I try not to swear, especially in public. Oh my gosh. All right. So here we've got that shift of momentum, that shift of direction, that shift of force. Let's just go ahead and just kind of start right here and kind of say how we would evaluate this thing and how you move your stops throughout the thing. So for right here, we have that change of momentum, but you can tell by the color of the chart that short term we're weak. Long term we're weak, so we're certainly not going to do anything here. We're just going to sit here. What we want is we want everything to go in and we want it to match. Okay, so the next day, actually, everything starts to match up. You get a bullish long term, you get a bullish short term, and this is the day where we can go in and structure a trade. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how Rahul does that, and I'm going to do that in a very careful way, and hopefully I'm not going to swear while I do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a horizontal line tool here in MetaStock. I'm going to look at this is the bar, remember, that we're buying on. I'm going to draw a horizontal line right above that area, that high, okay? And to be real specific about it, because the devil is in the details when it comes to trading, is I'm going to look at the high on this day, I'm going to look on the high of the day before, and what I want it to do is I want it to break the higher value. So I'm putting it on above this day because this day is higher than this day. If this day was higher, I'd put it above this day, okay? What Rahul wants to trigger us into this trade is he wants just a little bit more confirmation by breaking the high. So what I'm basically saying is I'm not going to buy yet, but if it breaks 12.12, I'm going to go ahead and buy. I'm just going to write that down here on the chart using the text tool, 12.12. Okay. And then I'm going to look back here. I'm going to go ahead and draw the low part on the chart. And what I usually pretty much look for is I look for the lowest value in recent history. And I want it to particularly be a pivot low. And if you don't know what a pivot low is, you look for a lower low surrounded by two higher lows. Okay, so this is a perfect example of that. Okay, there's probably another one right here, but this area is so bunched up together that it kind of indicates a pretty good support area. So if this support fails after I buy in, this is where I want to get out of the trade. In this particular case, I'd be looking to get out of this trade at about $10.80. Okay, so I'm going to write that on the chart here too, $10.80. Okay, easy. Okay, Now, there are a couple ways that Rahul teaches to put stops in, or these initial stops in. This is the one I like. I like the recent pivot low. He also says one of the ways you can do it if you want a bit of a tighter stop is to go with the lowest low of the last 2 days. I found with my experience that I'm more comfortable giving it just a little bit more room to fish. So, but those are kind of the way Rahul teaches it. So now we're still on this day. I know if we go up above 12.12, I'm going to buy, okay? And I know if I buy, I'm going to put in a stop loss at 1080. So I have a really good idea of what my risk is. I can calculate it fairly closely to what it's actually going to be. It's never going to be perfect because the market has a tendency to gap sometimes. And, you know, right now we're looking at square. It might gap up and I might get in at a less than price that's lower than 12.12. Or it might gap against me and it might gap way down below 1080, in which case, I'm going to get out, but I'm going to get out of it. But I have a really good idea of where my risk is going to be. It's going to be right at about $1.90 or so. Okay, so we go ahead and buy in. We put in our stop loss, and it rewards us. It goes up, and as markets that go up, they have a tendency to pull back down, which happens. Here you have a bit of that shift of momentum I was talking about earlier, but to the bearish side. Okay. So as long as it's going up and we don't have that kind of pullback that's very natural to the market cycle, we're happy. But when it starts to pull back and when you get this bearish shift, this is usually the first thing that's going to happen. What you want to do then is you want to start to pay more attention to the stock. Okay, it's pulled back enough. It has this bearish momentum shift. And so we want to take a look at this. We're going to get out of this position if it goes bearish, short term and long term. Okay, so we want to kind of keep an eye on it. We want to keep an eye on our position. If this thing turns bearish, all of a sudden we're going to look to reverse our position. Okay, and that happens. Once in a while, you get in a stock that's going up great and everything just goes bearish on it and you end up getting out. Most of the time, you're going to get out on a normal stop loss. And most of the time, it's a natural pullback because it's had a little bit of a push in. Sellers come in, profit takers come in, and they have a tendency to push the stock down a little bit. Okay. And so what happens, in my experience, a good majority of the time is you have that little bit of a pullback, a new support level is set, and it starts to go up. And that'll be signified on your chart right here. You'll see that you have that new change of direction or change of force. Okay. In this case, we're already in a position. Rahul says a few things about this particular point on the chart. Okay. Number one, he says you can buy more stocks if you want to. I don't do that. I usually buy my initial position back here, but you can buy more stocks here if you want because, and it does make sense, there is some logic to that. If you want to buy more into your position, you're already in a profitable position and you anticipate it going up more, okay? The other thing that Rahul says you absolutely should do is, you know, you've had a bit of a run up, you've established a new support area right here on the chart. Again, you have another pivot low. You want to move up your stop loss and protect your profits. Because what we're going to say is we're going to be able to staircase our profits up. So again, I'm just going to use that same model, but now I'm going to say, okay, well, now if it goes down below this point, I'm going to go ahead and get out of that trade. So I got in at pretty close to 12.12. Now if it gets to 13.45, I made $1.30. I'm going to be happy with that. I'm going to get out. Okay, and that's why I say most of the time you're going to get out in a stop loss. You see, here we have another pullback. We have a shift in momentum, but we never go bearish. And then it just kind of, the sellers kind of get done with their activity. The price actually starts to go up pretty ridiculously, and you get a new buy signal right here. Okay, and so what do? We move up our stop again. Where I'd move my stop is underneath this pivot low. You see this low surrounded by two higher lows. This is where I'd put it. It's also the lowest value in this little data set. So we're not moving it up by very much, but we're moving it up a little bit. And again, we're going to follow this thing up. Here we have another, we pull out, another bit of a pullback that gives us a change of direction. We're going to move our stop right here, okay? And look here, okay, so I'm going to put it right here. Right here, this is a low surrounded by two pivot lows. I could also, this you could put it right a little higher if you wanted, but this is just the lowest peak in this little downward movement, which we end up getting stopped out, okay? It happens. So we got in at 12.12. We moved our stop at 1345. We moved our stop again at 1378. And we moved our stop again at 1645. We ended up making about 4 points on that move, which on a $11 stock is, I'm going to say, roughly 30+%. Okay, and you can do the math and correct me if I'm terribly wrong. Okay, but we stopped out here. Okay, we do have another option a few days later, because this thing is going to keep going up. So we're stopped out. But then we get another buy signal, and so what we want to do is we want to structure a new trade out at this point. So everything's bullish right here. I'm going to put a little bit of a horizontal line right above here. Okay, I'm going to put a new stop loss, and we just repeat the thing. We made about a 4-point move on an $11 stock. If this high penetrates, we might have gotten in here. Okay, if we did, that's fine. We might have had to wait until it broke the high over here, and if we did, that's fine. Okay, but you'll notice, like, by putting it above the highs, what's going to happen is you end up losing or missing out on, like, kind of these long periods of grindiness where the stock really doesn't do anything. And that's one of the reasons Rahul wants that additional break of the high to confirm that it's going to move into an upward trend. Okay, so with our new trade, we're going to go ahead and enter in right here. We're going to go ahead and kind of move up our stop loss to right here. This would probably be where I would pick. And we're just going to kind of move up in a very orderly manner, in a very boring, unsexy manner. We're going to move up our stop every time we have that pullback. And we're just going to follow it up. Here we had a bit of a very sideways action. In fact, it went bearish short term, but it didn't ever get us out. Once it decides that it wants to go up again, we're going to go ahead and put in a very boring stop loss, probably right here. It's very, very simple strategy to use. Here we have a pullback. I wonder if we stopped out. Nope, we didn't. Pretty severe pullback. Okay, didn't get to our stop loss. Here we had another opportunity to move up our stop. Okay, so we probably moved it right here. Okay, to this level, which I'll just drag it up there. And then you had another minor opportunity. I probably would have inched it up just a little bit with this new buy signal right that you got right here. Okay. Run up, a little bit of a pullback, move up your stop when you get the buy signal. And you want to move the stops when you get the buy signal. Okay. And you see how it works. It's not very difficult. What the reasons I like it is it's very simple. It generally tends to work better on stocks that are trending because it's a trend following system. You'll notice as we kind of go through the trade too, and I think I'm kind of done showing you exactly how it works on NVIDIA, but we're not ever getting in at the very bottom, and we're never getting out on the exact top. But what we're trying to do, and what we're pretty successful at doing, is taking big chunks out of a nice, solid, established trend. Okay, and if you can do that and limit the losing trades that you have, it's going to work out well for you. It's a very good system to do that. So just kind of, that took us to right about there. We would have had a stop in there. You guys can kind of see that since that period where we've had that dramatic rise up, we're taking a very simple approach. We're taking a methodical approach. We're basing our stops based on kind of what the market is setting as its support and resistance areas. It's just a very, very simple, well thought out trading plan. And if you're just looking at to stay bullish from when the stock goes from 11 to 49.2 is where it closed on Friday, if you're only taking long trades, you're already putting the odds in your favor. So I love this little system. I'm going to go ahead and delete some of the lines off of there, and we'll look at a couple of the other stocks. I had somebody say, please, please, please look at QQQ. Well, okay, you bet. Okay, although I don't think we'll go on a trade-by-trade type of an example because we're running out of time. Everybody's, well, you're not tired, but let's go ahead and look at QQQ. I think I need to look at, I got the symbol wrong. .QQ. Oops. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Trey. Trey's giving me the right symbol. .o. Remember, .o. Okay. So this is the Qs. Okay. And we won't go through it trade by trade by trade. Certainly, we're not looking to buy right now, but we're still bullish long term. And just kind of looking at this, since 2016 to now, we've been on an RMO bullish zone. Is it going to stay in a bullish zone? Well, that's a great question. And I don't know the answer to you, to be frank about it. Right now, we've stopped out. We probably stopped out right on this level. Here is where I would have had my latest stop. It's triggered that. It's showing some weakness. Our RMO hasn't turned over yet. But if it does, I'd be looking to take shorts on it. The same is true if you look at DIA or SPY or any of the major market indexes. It's going to give you a very similar chart. And remember, we're not trying to exactly guess what the market is doing. The market has a tendency to go up. It has a tendency to go down. And as the last couple of years have absolutely proven, it can trend for a really, really long time. We've had such an incredible bull market up until the end of January that it was ridiculous. And so what we want to do is we want to have a rational approach to take advantage of those really good market trends. And when you use money management, one of the things that I really enjoy is you're not really that stressed out about your trades. You're moving your stops every few days. You're kind of keeping an eye on your positions, but it works very, very well. One of the reasons I like to show you this is a lot of you are going to be brand new to MetaStock, that big list of names that I read out earlier. And if you can have something that kind of helps you with a very objective approach to the marketplace that helps you move your stops and stuff like that, if you just use this, you're probably going to be happy with MetaStock. A lot of our customers are. It's such a, and you know, I could talk for days, but I could talk about like how you can do system testing and scanning and all of the features that have helped propel MetaStock to its #1 status. But I wanted to show you something you can start using right now that you can kind of, it's going to give you a really clean, objective way to look at the market. We'll go through all of those other tools in the boot camp. Start playing with this and see if you like it. I think you will. Yeah, Trey says it's like washing the paint dry. The forecasters have another really cool tool. We'll talk about it later. MetaStock does not have any built-in portfolio tools. It's not probably something that we'll add either, Amjam. It's just not, you know, do one thing and do it really, really well. Our goal has always been technical analysis. And we're lucky enough to have a partner in Thomson Reuters that is really good at the fundamental news as well. So no, we don't do any type of money management. Okay. Jerry says, can you please show the CPTA chart since you have it loaded there? I want to take a screenshot of it. Okay, I can absolutely do that. I'm here to please. CPTA. Let's see if I can find it. Capital, this one right here. Okay. So right now with CPTA, yeah, it's a little bit choppy right now, but we're both bearish long term. So unless this can tick up above 0, I'd say that using RMO, you probably would have just triggered into a trade. Let me look a little bit closer at it. Okay, right here you would have had that change of momentum or change of force. Here's where you would have put your entry position in. Here's where you would have put your stop loss in. Okay, so you're probably short now, looking to get out if it goes up above 817, or if things go bullish. Obviously, if things go bullish, you're looking at this from a different perspective. But to kind of give you some historical perspective, this has been, and it doesn't mean it's going to stay bearish, but it's been bearish since right here at $13. It's sunk down half to 772. So yeah, that's kind of what it looks like from a longer term. All right, okay. No problem, of course. All right, so that's a simple thing. Again, why I like to show it to you. I thought I put that slide at the end. Easy, it's totally objective. It's 100% rule-based. It's the system I started trading with. I can show it all over the place. I've shown it on Egyptian stocks, Saudi Arabian stocks, London stocks, forex, currency. You know, if it's a tradable instrument, it kind of has the same types of behavior. Some of them aren't liquid enough to trade, and certainly not all of them have the same, but it works on a lot of different instruments. My recommendation in picking an instrument is to find something that has a tendency to trend for really long periods of times. Like Apple and Google are good. It's just a really good system for doing that. So that's what I had to show to you two guys. That's definitely my favorite system inside of MetaStock. And since I was talking about favorite systems inside of MetaStock, today we had such a great, the people that were on today, and particularly these products are my favorites. If you want to ask me about the products that I'm using, Candle Profit system is awesome. People love Veracity. Wendy Kirkland's Automatic Swing Trader. I mean, this is a list of our most popular, most profitable, most well-liked add-ons. And a lot of these, in their own accord, have won Stocks and Commodities awards. So you can get all 4 of these. Normally, you can get all 4 of these add-ons. 2 years of Stocks and Commodities magazine, 3 months access to MetaStock Real-Time and MetaStock Zenith. Remember, MetaStock Zenith is an awesome product. They spent about $1 billion creating it. Anything that you want to know about, just about anything, you're going to be able to find out in Zenith. And we'll do some training on Zenith in the boot camp that I'm going to do on April 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern. That boot camp will be really designed to kind of help you get started with MetaStock and to show you some of the tricks I've learned over 21 years and just to kind of make sure you understand how to use everything properly. You'll get Unleash the Power of MetaStock as well, which is an online course. You can start going through that. Normally, if you bought everything individually, it's $4,000. And I wanted to come up with a really, really good package price. So like $1,696 is more than a 50% discount. I think it's 59%, but take advantage of it. You know, it's been rated #1, 24 years in a row. That's every single year since 1994 or 5, one of those 2, okay? You're gonna like it. There's a reason it's well liked. So give us a call to take advantage of that. It's 800-882-3040, okay? Or visit us online. We've got some guys there that are at metastock.com/sales-chat. I wanna thank you for, again, all of you guys have ordered today. I mean, that's a big list of people, but I really appreciate it. You're going to love it. And welcome to the MetaStock family. Don't forget, Stocks and Commodities sponsored our subscription today. And for those of you that have been here all day, thank you. I hope it was a very good, well-spent day. I'm going to ask you to do one more thing for me. When we close the webinar here in just a second, a survey is going to pop up. It's going to ask you 3 questions. One of them is thumbs up, thumbs down, or neutral. Okay, give me your feedback. I also want to know who you like the best today for speakers. And then the third thing I'd like to know is if you have any suggestions for me. So it's just a quick 3-question survey. Give us an answer. I'd appreciate it. I read all of the feedback and all of the comments, and I'm very proud of how well the summit has done in general, but I hope it's providing value to you. And if it is, we're hitting one of my goals at least. Okay. Frenchie asked a good question. When will the recordings be available? Okay. We're doing, I'm going to kind of be a little bit self-serving right here now. We are, so what'll happen is my marketing guy is going to come in and he's going to start working and getting all of the videos ready for YouTube, okay? If you come to youtube.com/metastock, this is where they're going to show up. You can ring the subscribe bell right here and it'll notify you as soon as they go live. I will also email you as soon as they're available. So as soon as he gets them done and gets them formatted properly for YouTube, you'll be able to go view them. But come up here. We're always putting up really good lessons. We always have different experts that are coming here. Come in here and subscribe to the channel. And you can always unsubscribe if you don't want to, but we do a lot of, well, I feel we do a lot of really good free education. And so join one of our subscriber lists there. Yeah, Jerry says I already took the survey when you shut the room the first time. Go, thank you. I'll be sure to read the feedback. Trey says, when will the MetaStock be getting updated again? Well, we're working on some really cool changes. As you've probably seen, Trey, ever since we bought ourselves back from Reuters, we are making changes much faster than we used to MetaStock. I don't have anything to announce today, but stay tuned. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed today's class. Let me put the phone number up again. For getting the 3-for-1 special or the Trader's Action Toolbox, or asking any questions, give us a call at 800-882-3040 or visit us at metastock.com/saleschat. Okay. All right. And with that, I'm going to sign off. As always, I'll see you at the next one.